as long as you beat some really good teams throughout that stretch, because there aren't going to be any undefeated teams anymore.
Like Penn
We
State.
might have a few if you're really that good, but with how oversaturated the SEC is, like even Georgia fans, I was talking to them on Spaces the other night. I was like, be honest, bro. Like, there's no chance anybody ever again is going to go undefeated unless you really just have a completely stacked team. Because, like, you're going to have years when you're Georgia, you're the best team in college football, but despite how good you are, going on the road against three of the highest odds teams to win the conference outside of you, there's definitely room for you to lose at least one or two of those road games, because majority of those upsets occur when you're on the road. Remember Bryce Young's final season when they lost 2 games? All those 2 losses occurred on the road against Tennessee, last minute, on the road, last minute loss to LSU. So
Yeah.
now, with how conference realignment, you asked me earlier, how has that impacted college football? There's not going to be any more undefeated teams, and you get more Missouri stories where they wouldn't have been able to win as many games as what they did in the past with the traditional SEC scheduling, because with it rotating every year, you may be like Ole Miss and not have any tough road games. You
Yeah, because
know,
Missouri definitely since they've been into the SEC, they have been garbage.
same thing
Into
with
the last few
Auburn.
years. Recruiting too. What they got that 5-star dude, Bolden. Bolden's looking
Mm-hmm.
like a first round pick. And I do
Yep.
think he was the spark that make this team better. So sometimes
Mm-hmm.
players that do come into your program do help out. But I mean, the last time I remember Missouri being good, like I said, I don't have another old moment, but you can go back to when they had Chase Daniels, Jeremy
Mm-hmm.
Maclin as the ones who punch.
They
So
had Shane
and
Ray.
Big 12 Missouri wasn't a slouch. I mean, they lost to Texas and Oklahoma, but those games weren't easy. So I
Shoot,
definitely
people
understand.
forgot year 2 when Missouri was in the SEC. They went to the SEC championship. They lost to Auburn. They had Michael Sam and
Yeah, and
you had
Michael
Shane
Sam would have got a
Ray.
bag, but he didn't come out. Let's just be honest.
Exactly. So it's
Because
like,
you don't be a co-defensive player of the year with the first overall pick for no reason. Because first overall pick wasn't
exactly.
Davion Clowney. So
So it's like, think about the schools like Florida now with conference realignment. For Florida, there's going to be some teams that have just as difficult as a schedule as what they're going to have. And you're going to have to be able to overcome that. So if Georgia had the same schedule Florida had this year, yeah, we know they will win 10 games, but they will also have some losses throughout that. So it's just a lot of things are about to change.
yeah,
I
and
think we'll get
there's no East and West division no more either, right?
yeah, there's no more
So it's
divisions
just the
in
top
any
two teams
conference.
who make it.
Exactly. And
So
everybody just rotates a different schedule. So one year you may have 5 road games against some of the best teams in the SEC, and other years you could get the break that Ole Miss has, where their toughest game of the year is at home against Georgia. They don't have no tough road games because their road games are
so
against
they don't play
Vanderbilt.
Alabama this year?
I don't think they played them on the road. I don't think they have no tough road games this year. Like, the best team they play is
Wait, they
Georgia
have to
at
play
home.
Alabama this year, right? Let me see.
No, because since they got rid of the divisions, not all of the rivalries. So
Yeah,
the
because they used to
reason
always be in the West, and they always played every
exactly.
year.
So now with you getting rid of divisions, you're not locked in to always have to play Alabama and LSU anymore. It rotates. So you'll play a different slate of teams every
I
year.
gotta look this up. Let me see. And you know what? Speaking of it, I wouldn't mind their win total this year as far as Ole Miss. I mean,
Yeah, Ole Miss, their
bro,
toughest
the
road.
first 4 weeks should be easy wins, right? They play Foreman, they
Yeah,
play
Middle
Middle
Tennessee,
Tennessee.
Wake Forest, Georgia Southern.
They should win that. Now Kentucky would be the tough one. But
Yeah, and
let me see.
now you do get LSU on the road. That could be a tough game, but
Yeah.
outside of that, they got no tough
Wow, they don't play.
road games.
This is the first time I ever see them not play Alabama.
You see, now
That's
the thing,
crazy.
now the thing that has made it so difficult, I don't think the parity is going to come from the college football playoffs. The parity comes from the benefits of conference realignment. You
Yeah.
get rid of divisions. You do still have your protected rivalry, so you're still going to play against your rivals every year. So Auburn can't duck Georgia and Alabama. You're still
Alabama.
going to play
Well, the thing
them.
that did change it was, I mean, I don't know if you remember this with Big 12, but They brought back the Texas A&M Texas rivalry,
Mm-hmm. And they
but they
didn't want
got rid
Texas
of
in
it
the
with
SEC.
LSU. So, but it's crazy. This is the first time that I've seen Ole Miss not play Alabama. Like
So
that's
that
to me really shocking.
and this is the reason why teams like Ole Miss, who couldn't be able to get over the hump in the past, can get over it now, because if you have a favorable schedule where you avoid some of the best teams and you get to host Georgia at home, that increases your chances of being the first team in program history under Lane Kiffin to win the SEC conference. Now, unfortunately, you could be put in a situation like Florida, where, unlike Ole Miss, you benefited from having the easy schedule this year, but Florida's going on the road playing Texas,
Yeah.
Alabama,
Yeah, and that's
potentially.
all
You feel
after
me?
they played Georgia at Jacksonville, right?
Mm-hmm.
The back end of
So,
the season, bro. That's why I don't know if they make it.
and next year the roles could reverse. Next year, Florida could have a new coach, have an easy schedule, and win the conference because of that, because they had a lot of their toughest games at home. Meanwhile, Ole Miss could drop off, make it
Right.
to the playoffs this year, go 8-4 next year because they lose so much, and they got a way difficult schedule. Now, instead of having Georgia being your toughest game at home, LSU being your toughest road game, you may have 4 road games where you're going on the road against Alabama, Georgia, Texas. You feel me? So
Ooh.
it's all about.
I'm getting, bro, that's even making me hot thinking of that. Like, what?
So, like, that's how you're going to get your parity, because you're going to have certain teams like Missouri that benefit from not having to play a tough schedule, going on the road to play any tough games.
Yeah, and their toughest
But
game last season was LSU, right?
mm-hmm,
Oh, and let me tell you about the fuckery with that game. I didn't bet that game, but I'm always like watching games, man. Like if I see a spread, I think they were like 8.5. And then like what's his name? Brady Cook throws that
mm-hmm.
fluky ass pass and it goes
Yeah,
pick
I don't like
six.
Brady Cook.
They LSU covered in seconds because of that game.
They won that game. Yeah. The LSU Ole Miss game was even more absurd. I remember first play, Jaden Daniels gets hit stick. It's a scoop six fumble return.